Welcome back to another explainer. Today we're diving into something truly remarkable together. We're looking at a brand new, absolute paradigm-shifting Alzheimer's breakthrough straight out of Baylor College of Medicine. Let's just jump right into this because these findings, which were recently published in the journal Nature Neuroscience, well, they might completely change how we approach neurodegenerative disease in the future. So what if the brain already has the tools to fight Alzheimer's? Think about it. For decades, medical science has been searching relentlessly outside the body, right? Looking for a drug, a chemical, literally anything external to halt the progression of this devastating disease. But this new research, it flips that entirely on its head. It suggests that the answer, the actual cleanup mechanism, might already be sitting right there inside our heads, just waiting to be activated. Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. 1. The Alzheimer's plaque problem. 2. Meet the brain's support cells. 3. SOX9, the master switch. 4. Testing the vacuum cleaner. And finally, 5. A new treatment horizon. All right, let's jump straight into section 1. The Alzheimer's plaque problem, the villain of neurodegeneration. Okay, so the core of the issue here is that toxic amyloid plaques block healthy brain function. Basically, Alzheimer's is characterized by these really harmful deposits. They physically build up in the brain over time, interrupting the vital communications between neurons, and eventually, that's what impairs a person's memory and thinking ability. Now, for years, the main strategy has been trying to either stop these plaques from forming in the first place or finding external ways to target the neurons directly to protect them. But the problem is, the toxic deposits just keep building up. Moving on to section 2, meet the brain's support cells, our microscopic heroes. Take a really close look at these stunning structures. These are called astrocytes. They're the beautiful, star-shaped support cells in the brain. Now, they aren't the neurons themselves, but rather the absolutely crucial support system that surrounds and maintains them. Under normal, healthy conditions, astrocytes are busy performing diverse tasks that are just essential for normal brain function. We're talking about things like facilitating those delicate communications between neurons and even actively aiding in memory storage. But here's the absolute crucial point. While astrocytes perform these vital tasks, they undergo profound altering changes as the brain ages. According to Dr. Dongju Choi, who's the first author of the study, as we get older, these support cells essentially get tired. Their actual physical structure changes, and their function alters in ways that science is honestly just beginning to understand. The Baylor research team hypothesized that these age-related alterations in astrocytes are deeply linked to the progression of Alzheimer's disease. They really wanted to know, could they somehow wake these tired cells back up to do their jobs? Which brings us to section 3, SOX9, the master switch, a natural power-up. To wake these cells up, the researchers zeroed in on one specific protein. It's called SOX9, and it controls the activity of many genes in aging astrocytes. Think of it exactly like a master switch on a complex circuit board. Dr. Benjamin Deneen, the corresponding author of the study, explained that they specifically wanted to manipulate the expression of this SOX9 gene. Since SOX9 acts as a major regulator for how astrocyte activity behaves during the aging process, the team naturally wondered, well, what would happen if they simply flipped the switch and turned that activity way up? All right, section 4, testing the vacuum cleaner, the mouse trial climax. When we look at their methodology, there's one massively important detail we really need to focus on. Step 1, they took mice that already had existing cognitive impairment, like actual memory deficits, and who already had amyloid plaques actively built up in their brains. Dr. Choi emphasized this point heavily, and for good reason. Most studies test treatments before plaques even form, but by using subjects with established symptoms, this trial design is just so much more relevant to human patients, who generally go to the doctor only after they start showing real signs of Alzheimer's. Then, in step 2, they manipulated the SOX9 levels, either increasing them or eliminating them altogether. Finally, in step 3, they meticulously tracked the mice's cognitive performance over a 6-month period, rigorously testing their ability to recognize familiar objects and environments. And at the end of those 6 months, well, the contrast was absolutely stark. When researchers lowered SOX9 levels, they saw faster plaque buildup, a much simpler, weaker astrocyte cell structure, and a drastically reduced ability to clear out those toxic amyloid deposits. But conversely, higher SOX9 levels resulted in enhanced cellular activity and a really improved, highly complex structure. The astrocytes actively promoted plaque removal, and perhaps most importantly, the mice with higher SOX9 maintained significantly better cognitive function and better memory over time. It's just incredible.
Let's bring it all together in Section 5, a new treatment horizon, shifting the paradigm.
So, what does this all mean for us? Let's review exactly why this breakthrough is a total paradigm shift. First off, this approach shifts the focus onto the support cells, the astrocytes, rather than just trying to target the neurons themselves, which, as we know, has been the traditional route. Second, and this is just massive for patient care, it actively clears existing plaques. It doesn't just try to prevent them from forming in the first place. And third, it elegantly harnesses the body's own natural defenses. It's a built-in process. The researchers simply found a way to give it a biological power-up. I have to share this quote from Dr. Benjamin Deneen because it perfectly paints this vivid, unforgettable picture of what's happening on a microscopic level. He said, increasing SOX9 expression triggered astrocytes to ingest more amyloid plaques, clearing them from the brain like a vacuum cleaner. Just think about that visual for a second. These star-shaped cells, re-energized by manipulating a single protein, literally vacuuming up the toxic disease that causes Alzheimer's. Now, while the research team is quick to note that more work is definitely needed to understand how SOX9 functions over time in human brains, this fundamentally opens the door to a completely new class of therapies. So as we wrap up this explainer and you digest this amazing source material, I want you to consider this. If we can turn our brain's tired support cells into powerful vacuum cleaners just by flipping a genetic switch, what other natural defenses are hiding inside us right now, just waiting to be unlocked by science? Thank you so much for exploring this with me today, and keep asking those big questions.